Again, not so many people tell many lies, but many people don't always tell the truth. There's some subtle differences there, and truthfully, you cannot say anything without saying some untruth. Because the truth is beyond words. If you really don't want to say any untruth, you better shut up. But even then, even if we are not looking at that, then the ego has so many stories. And the ego is quite crazy in that way, that it has so many stories that itself is no longer very sure about what is true and what is not true. Like if you really start thinking about something that happened maybe a few years ago, and you really start analyzing it and really remembering it, then you will realize that in the process of like going through that experience and then forgetting about it, you've created a story out of it. And this story is not entirely true. I'm not saying this story will be entirely false also, sure not. But a little bit of ego game will be there. A little bit of making yourself shine a little bit more will be there. So, not so easy to always be truthful. But so for sadhus, this is very absolute. Like if you have a court case in India, and a sadhu will come and say, well, I saw that this was happening. Then the court will immediately accept that as truth. Because the sadhu is like that. A sadhu has nothing to gain or lose in the world. He has no assets anywhere. He is not involved in it anyhow. So he can always tell the truth about it. It will not affect him. No? If you have a business, then you might be affected. If you have family, then you might be affected. But if you have nothing, then you can really tell the truth. So they take that again quite to the absolute level and try to always speak the truth. So why is that? Well, you are trying to reach the truth. You are trying to understand the truth. You are trying to feel the truth. You are trying to live from the truth. How can you do that if you just tell stories to everybody, including yourself? Most stories you are telling to yourself. Even when we do meditation, we start telling stories. We start thinking how good we are doing in our meditation. Things like that are there. Maybe we talk about asana to somebody and then we say, oh, I can sit in lotus posture for 3 hours, no problem. Well, actually, only one time you were doing 2 hours and had a lot of leg pain afterwards. And you feel, okay, what's the difference? 2 or 3, doesn't matter. Sounds better to say it is 3. I mean, we are all like that. It's just a little, storytelling. So, if we want to really reach out to the truth, we need to stop doing that, and this should again be taken very literally. The truth that we are seeking, we are not going to find it by reasoning. I think most of you already understand that. It is not something that you will find, by thinking about it. You will see it rather than think about it. You will feel it from the inside. And that faculty, which is called buddhi, the deeper intellect, that faculty requires you to stop telling stories. As long as you tell stories, it cannot talk. So, to reduce the storytelling is very, very important. And it will also purify whatever you are doing, if you are truthful about it. And this is also very important. Your actions will become pure. Whether they are, successful or not successful, you will accept them as they are. Not try to add some rose water to it. You will be able to see yourself naked as you are, because you accept it. And only in that acceptance lies your road to truth. As long as you cannot accept yourself as you are, then very hard to see the truth. So this is why Satya is so important. So already with Satya, with always talking the truth, comes a very important siddhi, a very important power. The power of intuition, of connecting to Buddhi, of connecting to the cosmic intellect, of knowing things in advance that they are going to happen without having any clue about it, but still you feel it is going to happen. So these things, which are actually very simple, not telling any lies, always telling the truth, are very, very powerful. So, and then we have asteya, which means non-stealing. Now I don't think there's so many robbers here in the classroom. But that does not mean that we are always so very honest in our business dealings with others, with our bosses or our employees, with our friends and family. Many are still very much like takers. We say business is business. And there's two ways that you can interpret that. One way is to say, well, if you're doing business, then there should be a balance. Even, for example, if you do business with friends or family, then there should still be a balance. Okay, nothing wrong with that. But a lot of people, when they say business is business, they mean I take what I can get. If the guy is so stupid to pay this much, I'm going to take it. If he doesn't know that he actually could get it for a lot less, then I have the right to take it. This is a very wrong understanding. This is stealing. This is dishonesty. So, to develop honesty is very important. And a first reason we already talked about. If you are dishonest with people around you, how do you want to then sit in meditation where everybody can hit you on the head? So for your peace, this is very important. But it is also very important because being dishonest, you will cut the connection to your heart. You will cut the connection to the self because you know it is wrong. If you do something dishonest, you always know it. We talked about that in the class on Dharma. You may forget it. You may again tell many stories about it so that you forget it. But you know in your heart that what you're doing is not really right. And that will sever the connection to your heart. Because it is in your heart, it is in the self that you feel right and wrong. So, again, this is very essential. And also, as Patanjali says that the ones who can really be honest, for him diamonds will roll in front of his feet. That he should never worry about material things. You see, when we are working with the material life, then we experience good luck and bad luck, right? Sometimes it all goes very well, and then sometimes a lot of things happen that cost a lot of money and we're in trouble. But that is just karma. Whatever bad luck comes your way is your own doing. You were stealing something here, so then it is taken somewhere else. Only if you can stop dishonesty, your material life will become smooth. And I'm not saying you're going to become very wealthy. That is a different thing. But whatever you need, it will always be there. If you can stop being dishonest. And it's not easy to not go into the temptation of earning a little extra. Feeling like that is your good luck. But that is not good luck. So if you want good luck and no bad luck, you have to be honest in these things. And then there is aparigraha, non-possession. Now even a sadhu has to make a little compromise here. There are some sadhus actually who go around completely naked and have nothing. It exists also. But there are exceptions. Most sadhu schools allow a few possessions, like a blanket, a kamandula, a water pot, which is used for taking water and washing and cooking and things like that. They will have 2 or 3 pairs of clothes. They will probably have a mala or some other tools for their practice. They will have a few things, but they will keep it to the absolute minimum. And this is of course one of the points where for us householders it becomes quite difficult. We need more than that. We have children maybe running around. We need more possessions to live our life. So it's a little bit difficult, but still it is possible, but then it becomes more a matter of detachment. Maybe you can have a house, but be completely detached from that possession. Maybe you can have a car, but really not care about it, apart from your dharma of just taking good care of it, but not really be attached there. But it's not so easy. In India they will say, well, if you are detached from it, why not give it away? And that is of course true. So as long as you have it, some attachment is there. But okay, as I said, it's not so easy for householders. So then why is this rule there? Well, again, many reasons are there. First of all these possessions are a lot of work. First of all, to buy them you have to work, and then to maintain them you have to work, and even to recycle them you have to work. So it's a lot of work, a lot of time you are spending on all your possessions. If then one day you shift from one house to another, you realize how much stuff you got. So it takes time. So if you want to really spend your time mostly on yoga, then have as little possessions as possible. This is one of the ways to do it. And then at least you really don't need to work a lot. You only need to do a little bit of effort to have some food, and that's all you need. The rest, well, it comes quite easily. But there is more. Attachment to physical things happens also partially by the physical body. The physical attracts the physical. And one of the first steps in samadhi is to get rid of the physical body, to lose entirely the awareness of the physical body. So that will be more difficult the more possessions you have. Because even if you are no longer worrying about your house and your car, your body may. So this is the first reason. But another thing also is that it is all just clutter in your mind. All these things are just taking up mind space. And you are trying to empty your mind. So when you go into deep meditation, you really want to dig into what is a lot more important than that. But still, you have to swim through all this clutter first. So it is not so easy to move forward there if there are a lot of things to which you are attached. So if you want to really learn about your deeper attachments, if you want to really learn why you were born, we were all born for quite specific reasons, and they have nothing to do with getting the latest mobile or a fancy car. Maybe we took birth to again find somebody. Maybe we took birth to learn something specific. Maybe we were taking birth to create something specific. Those are the things that are really going to fulfill us. Those are the things that, are going to allow us to move beyond, to move further. So to learn what these things are in deep meditation is quite important. And if you still have a lot of other projects lying around, like 100 possessions, we easily have like 100 important possessions, then it's more difficult. Even then, to learn about former lives and all these things which become possible in deep meditation, first you need to get rid of a lot of rubbish. So, maybe important also to explain to those who do not know it, that in the Indian system you can become a sadhu at a relatively young age. But you can also become a sadhu as a pension plan. Once you have been a householder, and as it usually goes, your business is taken over by the children, and you are still a little bit behind it, and everything is running smoothly, and after a while you say, okay, bye-bye, I'm going on some pilgrimage, or, I'm becoming a sadhu. This tens of thousands of Indian people are doing every year. So this is also then possible to have possessions before, but at some point say, okay, now I really want to get rid of it, and I give it all to my children, and then I am free of it. So, and then the last of the yamas is brahmacharya. The last and perhaps the most difficult, and perhaps also the most controversial. Literally, brahmacharya means dancing in Brahma, dancing in the light of the Creator, dancing in the light of the Self. So that sounds relatively easy. But the more literal translation of brahmacharya is sexual abstinence and sensual abstinence. So this sounds again very moral, almost like as if sex were a sin. But in the Indian tradition, this is not looked upon as that. Actually, there's many stories about sex. There's the whole Kama Sutra. There are many gods and goddesses having sex, and even it is quite known that people who become enlightened and then are able to choose a new life, very often in the stories, they may become a king. They can choose, so why not, and have a harem full of women, or maybe become a queen and have a harem full of men. I don't mind either way. But so it is not about sin. It is not about morality. There's again a very specific scientific reason for it. So that for a time you abstain from sex, but also from all sensual input that can be avoided. Of course, you still have to eat. So some taste will be there on the tongue. Of course, you cannot always walk with your eyes closed, so some input will be there through the eyes. But you are trying not to see it, you are trying not to taste it, you are trying to stay away from it. You're definitely not doing anything to make it stronger. So, why is that? Well, the main reason is pratyahara. Withdrawal of the senses. I have said before, this is not so easy as it sounds. If your senses during the day are very strongly stimulated, they are very excited. This is the nervous system. If your nervous system is becoming very excited during the day, and then in the evening you want to do some meditation, you will have a lot of work to calm down your nerves, to calm down your senses. If during the day you are continuously tasting this and having a sip of that, and then how do you want to do it? So it's about withdrawing energy. Pratyahara really is about withdrawing the energy from the senses. You really learn to withdraw the prana from the senses, so that really you are no longer hearing. But to do that requires that the senses are a little calm to begin with. So for a while you live a little bit a life of not seeing, not moving into the world of the senses. And this has also many deeper meanings. One of them being that deep meditation is something which happens in 6th chakra. 6th chakra, we have discussed, is beyond the elements, beyond earth, water, fire, air, space. Now, that which triggers the working of the elements in you is the senses. Like earth will be triggered by smell, like water will be triggered by taste, like fire will be triggered by sight, etc. So, if you want also the elements in you to calm down, so that you can really move beyond them, then you need to calm down your senses. And then, when it comes to sexuality, but even sensuality in general, it is known that it consumes huge amounts of ojas, this energy that I was talking about before, which you will need in your deep meditation. So that definitely also is a reason, especially for sexual abstinence. So there also, it is a matter of science, knowing that people who do not abstain from sexuality have much more difficulty to stay for a very long time in deep meditation. So it's not a matter of morality, it's a matter of choosing. You want sex, you can have sex. You want meditation, then better not have sex. And I'm not just talking about a little meditation practice, that is a very different thing. But if you want the deep meditation, if you want to really move forward in samadhi towards moksha, towards enlightenment, towards the end point, then you abstain. And so this is not something easily done, and those who do it actually have maybe had enough sex. Are thinking, okay, I can do it 100 times more, but it's not really so interesting anymore. And I want something else. As I discussed with the chakras, it's a matter of evolution of desire. First you desire this, then you have it, and you have it more and more and more, and after a while it becomes less important and you want something else. So enlightenment is the last desire. So that is why then you have to a little bit remove the energy from the lower chakras, really bring them upwards. Otherwise it's always such a work to do it. So these are the 5 yamas discussed by Patanjali. In classical yoga you will have also some other yamas that I'm not really going to talk about, but I can tell them shortly. Like Shama means to stay in the now, which is something we know from Eckhart Tolle, the power of now. And it is a great power to always stay in the now, but also more easily said than done maybe. But this is one of these things. Not to think about the future, not to think about the past, always be here and now. Many others are there, like perseverance, gentleness, honesty, modesty, all these things are there. Then we come to the niyamas. You could say which are the positive actions that you can do in your life. In your life you have things that you have to do, and then you have some free time, and in this free time you can do some more things which help you forward. They are also a kind of disciplines, you could say. Positive actions are like the best remedy anyhow. Sometimes we can focus a little bit too much of what is going wrong or about what we are doing wrong, and maybe it's better sometime to just forget about what happened and just do something positive. So these are the niyamas. They are very great ways to turn you around, to bring you on a different level, on a different kind of energy vibration. And one of them is santosha. Santosh means contentment. You don't have to be happy like screaming happy, but you have to be contented. I often say that. Whenever you feel unhappy, then again becoming happy is your number one priority. Before you do anything else, first you should focus on that. And that is a great exercise, and the more you do that exercise, the more easy it becomes to again bring a smile on your face and move forward. So this is the niyama of contentment. And this is of course very important also for meditation. If you are not being able to start your meditation being happy about it, it's going to be very difficult. Many people, far too many people, only meditate when they're feeling bad. Like, oh, now I need some solution. This is normal, I mean, in the beginning, but you should really be able to develop some more regular pattern and be happy about it. Always start your meditation with a smile. Always start your focus with a smile. This is so very important. Then there is shosha. Shosha means many things that have to do with purification. For example, a sadhu will always in the morning, and this is actually in India a very general practice, shower and put on new clothes. This is maybe not a practice here so much because here is not so hot, and maybe also a little less dirty. But still, it is a very important practice also for us. In the morning, you are starting the day new. If you are not taking a shower and putting on the clothes of the day before, you are again taking on the vibrations of the day before. Whatever has happened there still is somehow there. You are working with energy. You cannot see it, but it's definitely affecting you. So to take a shower is a great way to remove some excess energy, also dullness of course, but also some excess tension that has still been there from the past day, and then you put on new clothes. This is shosha. But shosha also means many other kinds of purifications, generally known as the kshat karmas, where you are learning to clean your nose, neti, where you are learning to clean your stomach by swallowing cloth. I mean, all these things I don't really have to talk about, it's a long story, but so this is also part of what you can do to take care of the health of your body, of the flow of energy in your body is very important. If you want to sit like that for 3 hours, then your body better be a little bit healthy. Otherwise, it's also going to be difficult. So many cleaning practices are there, and I think every tradition has its own practices also. But this is generally known as shosha. So this is where also yoga meets Ayurveda, where you start caring about the doshas and the elements in your body and the vayu and all these things. And it goes quite beyond your body. It's about cleanliness, purity, also in your home, also in your language. Like Americans have to avoid the F word. And we also have our words here in Belgium, which are actually giving a wrong mental image. Like, well, I'm just going to take one example. If we say shit, which many people say, then we underestimate the effect of that. If you say that word, then in your mind there's going to come an image of shit. That is affecting you. So this purity is not just about, we want to keep everything pure. This is about really not giving your mind any unpleasant input. Impurity means that you get unpleasant input. Bad smells coming from your unwashed dishes, that's bad input. And your body is automatically going to react by requiring nice sensory input. So if you want to a little bit reduce your desire for nice taste and nice smell and nice sound and all these things. Well, first of all, try to avoid all the bad smells and the bad sounds and whatever, is not pleasing to your senses. That will already satisfy them. Then you will not so much need all this sensory input. I mean, here in the West we are, or many people at least, are continuously bombarded with sensory input. Like many people, they always need to have some music going on. In the morning they get up and put on the radio or some music, or I'm not saying it's bad. No? It's actually very good to do it. But then they get in the car and they put on more. Then, many people always have the TV going on, even if nobody is looking. And sometimes even, very loud. So they always need something to keep their attention, so that they don't start thinking about their problems, they don't start thinking about themselves, they always have some distraction. But this is not the solution. This is part of the problem. This is making us even more nervous. So that's all about purity. And finally, also, this is going to very much help to change your taste. As I said, our taste, sometimes very strong taste for like junk food, Coca-Cola, all these strong sensory inputs are only because we are maybe having a bad taste in our mouth, because we are not really pure, because we have bad digestion and we want something to cover it up. No? So if you can be pure in your body, then this desire will be much less, and everything on that level will be much easier. And then there is tapas. Literally, tapas means burning, putting yourself on the barbecue. These are the most hard yogic practices. This is where you try to see where are your weaknesses, and if you find any weaknesses, then you are going to remove them by doing very specific exercises. Let's say you have a trouble with the heat. In India it's a very common problem. Then you will, for maybe a week or a few weeks, every day sit in the sun. Put a circle of fire around you. Take 2 fire pots in your hands, one on your head and one in your lap, and sit like that all day. You're looking at me as if I am telling something really strange, but this is happening all the time in India. You can see that quite often. Or if you have a problem with the cold, then okay, go meditate up to here in an ice-cold river. Put some rocks on your legs so that you don't start floating, and try to stay there all day. This is tapas. There you really work hard on your willpower. Mind over body, self over mind. So, many practices are there. Tapas can be also a little bit more simple, like maybe you feel you are addicted to sugar, okay, you stop eating sugar for 1 year. This is also a kind of tapas. Many yogic exercises are a kind of tapas. Sitting 3 hours in lotus posture, it's a kind of tapas. Sitting on nails, sitting on broken glass, if you feel you are still too much attached to pain, too much crying like a child whenever you've hurt yourself, okay, make pain part of your life for a while. So these things are usually for a while, but you will also find sadhus taking up at least one of these practices for the rest of their life. Like one Baba I know, Katya Baba, for 35 years at least, he was wearing a katya, which is a belt made of wood and copper, and this cannot come off. The lock which is there is broken. So he can never lie down. This is quite thick, You cannot comfortably lie down with that. You only can sit or stand. For 35 years he was doing that. And so when I asked him, okay, what's the deal, he said, it is very good always to keep a little discomfort, so that you always remain alert, so that you're always a little bit on the edge, that you're always focused. With this, I can never become unfocused, because if I become unfocused, I go, and then this hurts me in my bed. So, many things like that. On the last Kumbh Mela, I saw a man that for 10 years he was standing on one leg, with some support, for his hands now and then, especially for sleeping, but still only standing on one leg. So these things are possible, and I'm not saying they're the only way, or I'm not saying all this is necessary. I'm just saying they are one way to deal with some of your weaknesses. And definitely willpower is something which you need in the process of Ashtanga Yoga.